Hey guys, welcome to the Climb Along podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Ira.
Today we're going to talk about finances in your 20s. It's a big thing to really think about as you go along.
Yeah, not the most fun topic, but as we went through this last week, figuring out our own finances, we were like, wow, what a perfect timing to record this.
Especially since young adults tend to not do well in this category, especially if you're in college or you're a young airman or young soldier, just
young family
in the military, not doing well with your finances or not properly knowing how to do your money well.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think how many young adults are just not ready to handle their finances, and there's so many things that we are not told about, like, I don't know, starting your retirement. That's not what you think after you leave school. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah. So what will some things that we should, think about?
Yeah. So we're gonna start talking about just our background. Well, mostly, again, this is gonna be more from John, just because he's the main finance guy of the family. But I might pitch in here and there, so I'll be on the question duty for today.
You have been doing so well at learning about finances, my dear.
Thank you. So, again, a new sphere to navigate. Okay, so first let's talk about our background. What would you like to share? Is like how did you start? Like basically after school, I would say, like, when you started doing your own finances, like how can you summarize where you were then and where you are now?
Right, yeah. I remember as a kid, I would have like this little empty plastic jar, and whenever I would do chores or I would do something in which I would get cash or money or coins, I would put it in my coin jar and I would save it up. And then as I got older, around 17, 18 years old, and my family was able to acquire a gas station business, I was able to have my own bank account, and I deposited all my cash and coins in, slowly grew. And I think by the time I went into the military, I had $22,000 in my bank account from 17 to 19 years old. I mean,
that is a lot.
I was living with my parents, so I wasn't really spending it anyway.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got into the military, living on my own, that $22,000 went down to $50 plus some college debt. So, how did I get from there to now where we're sitting pretty comfortably as a family? Well, first we gotta talk about some of the things that people who are young should avoid. Some finance things that are the pitfalls and traps that a lot of people have.
So we're gonna try to summarize mistakes that you made, and which, again, as we went through, I don't know, seeing co-workers, friends, and talking just to other young adults, then we noticed that a lot of us make those mistakes. So I think this would be relevant for quite a lot of people, but just taken from your own experience, taken from what you heard from people around you and young adults around you, what mistakes do you think are most common among young adults nowadays?
Okay, so some of the biggest thing is not tracking expenses and how much is coming in or how much is coming out. That's the first one. Then it's spending your paycheck and living paycheck to paycheck. Just because it hits your bank account doesn't mean you have to spend it immediately right away.
It's like when you feel that freedom coming in, like, when you were living with your parents. I think even though, well, maybe that's not the case for all young people or like teenagers.
Yeah.
But I think that for a lot of us, especially from our generation, it's like when you live with your parents, like even though it's your bank account, like it's not really fully yours. Like if you start
Yes.
bringing in like, I don't know, super expensive stuff to your home, I think that most of our parents would be like, okay, you're not stewarding your finances well.
Right.
So yeah, I think that that freedom that comes with that, leaving school and starting your own work and earning is like,
Yes.
oh, now I can do whatever I want. No one can tell me no.
Exactly. And that also leaves with financial goals as well, not having financial goals, because when you're with your parents, they set the financial goals for you rather than you yourself having financial goals. Another one, when it comes to financial goals, is not having an emergency fund. You never really think about that because when you're at your parents' place, they're your emergency fund. But having troops under me, not having an emergency fund baffles me. And it's something that is super important.
Yeah, as if your car dies on the side of the street and, you got to do a rental for a few days. And that's the easiest example. I mean, there's crazier things that can happen, medical bills, all kinds of things.
Right.
So it's really important to, think about that. But, again, being young, like we don't think about emergencies,
Yeah,
I
we
feel
think
like
we're invincible.
Yeah, that's true. And you would hear that from people who are older. I think we had an older friend who, like, late 50s, who was like, by the time you are 40, you start feeling like you're not really invincible. And by the time you're 50, you realize how really fragile you are. So, and anything else for that?
And the last one, I would have to say, the biggest pitfall, well, it's not the biggest, but one of the pitfalls is not making enough money or not having enough hustle to make more money. Now we're going to go into the good things.
Yeah. So our section now is going to be more focused on, let's envision you are 19 again, and how would you start your finances off on a good track?
If I was 19 again, or if I were to talk to people who are 19, or if you are 19, or anyone who is young adult who hasn't been doing well in their finances, because I've definitely met people who are in their 30s and not doing finances. Well, just thinking to having $10,000 in their bank account is still something huge for them. Well, by the grace of God, that's not much of a problem for us. So how would I start it? Well, it all starts with having a financial goal. Now, what does that look? By the end of this year, I want to save this much. This is how much cash I want in my bank account. Or maybe by the end of this year, this is how much debt I want to pay off. Or by the end of this year, this is how much I want to invest, if that's your thing. So that's the biggest one at first, having a financial goal.
Yeah, and sometimes you gotta think through what motivates you, because I think for you that was something that I learned, because that's not really something for me that motivates me. Like, you like having goals that are bigger than what you can achieve.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because for me, I think, again, there's many ways to do this. Like, if I were to do this, to use the same advice, is like having a financial goal, I personally would work better with something that is achievable, or even like a little less, so that I overachieve it. Because for me, getting that like good feeling of overachieving something would be so much more encouraging. So like, you can do it anyway. You can like calculate your finances to the dot and like, set that goal at a bar that is achievable, or you can set it a little higher and like, have that extra little push for yourself. It depends how you are motivated.
There's a lot of things out there in the self-help sphere, like, for example, SMART goals. I don't really believe in that. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. I tend to find realistic, I take that as unrealistic, so it's not smart, it's smout. The reason being is because if you shoot for the moon, you're going to hit the stars. If you're going to shoot just a little bit further, you're able to hit a target that you didn't think you'd hit before. I think there's something in shooting class where aim small, miss small. So I want to rephrase that as aim far, get far. You know, you're not going to get that far to that unrealistic goal, but you're going to get far enough than what you would limit yourself to. So that's financial goals.
Okay, what's the next point?
The second one is paying off your debt and then build an emergency fund. So debt snowball, Uncle Dave Ramsey, that talks about the debt snowball, where basically you pay off the smallest debt first and then go into the big.
The smallest.
Exactly. So psychologically, if you pay off the small debts first and you see those go away, you start getting psychologically happier in wanting to pay off more debt. But if you start with a big debt, then you're thinking, wow, it's too much and it's taking forever. So start with the small debts first. Now for an emergency fund, I know for us, while we were dating for a long time, we didn't have an emergency fund. My emergency fund was the savings.
Yeah. And it's important to kind of separate the both because you want to have the emergency as for emergencies, you know. And we're not going to get into like details of how much it should be and all of that. Again, referencing Dave Ramsey, I've been really recently into it, but into his show. But yeah, you can look up details for that. This is more just like a little introduction, you know, something to get us young people thinking about it, you know, considering what we are doing with our finances. This is not like here's your
this is not financial advice, although it's financial advice.
This is more like introductory, again, taking you on this journey with us.
Yes.
Things that we worked through and had to figure out. And you said getting the emergency fund.
Yes, for when it comes to the emergency fund, I think Dave talks about some principles. It's not specifically a number, but some principles. Like first is a specific number, $1,000. You should at least have $1,000 in your emergency fund. After you have $1,000, save all the way up to 3 months worth of expenses. If you're able to do 3 months worth of expenses, then save for 6 months worth of expenses. If you're able to do 6 months worth of expenses, you should try to do 12 months worth of expenses. After that, try to find a stopping point to where now you have your emergency fund. Now you can have savings.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So the third one is tracking how much your expenses are and how much money that's coming in. That's super important because you see that paycheck go immediately away if you do not know how much are your utility bills, how much are your rent, how many subscriptions do you have? Do you have Disney Plus, Netflix,
the subscriptions,
Amazon Prime, all those crazy Crunchyroll?
The subscriptions are like one of my least favorite expenses because like I know that in the long run it may be cheaper than like, you know, paying for certain like, I don't know, things one by one, like let's say buying movies. If you do watch a lot, like for us it works. We just buy one movie because we just don't watch enough to pay for a subscription. But I counted our subscriptions and it was like measuring up to like $1,000 a year. And maybe that's not a lot for some people, but you know, when you put it all together and you think about it, you're like, okay, what do I not need? And it's funny that in our modern days, it's like you do need a lot of those things. Like it's not like all of it is irrelevant. Like some of them are maybe the wants, but you know, if you have some like, I don't know, location tracking app that is kind of like safety precaution, or just things that are actually necessary. And but you got to be cautious about it. And you may find out how many subscriptions you never knew about.
Or don't need.
Yeah, I know nowadays they have those services. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
We don't use anything, so we don't have anything to recommend. But I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy Google search.
Yeah.
That the services that would find what subscriptions you have, which honestly is pretty cool, because you did have some Amazon subscription from like your mom's old like email account or something, which was on your name. But it's crazy how, that can be just drawing your money and you never knew about it.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of people might recommend, oh, why don't you just set your bank accounts to do automatic automatic pay for your expenses. But I feel like for those who are just newer to this, do everything manually so that you know how much are your expenses, how much money it requires for you to live, your rent, your utilities, your Wi-Fi, your car insurance, what are your credit cards, your school debt, and that's not even counting your groceries, your gas, these other things that are not fixed expenses.
Yeah.
Gotta know your fixed expenses first.
Yeah, to know how much you are able to navigate and leverage for the rest of the months, either, savings or, I am able to go out with friends to lunch or dinner this many times this month. Yeah, which, is really helpful to see.
Always, try to cut and slash as much as you possibly can if you want to save. So budgeting and knowing your expenses is one part of tracking. The other part of tracking is actually paying yourself first, which is sending a certain set amount of money to your savings or to your emergency fund immediately. If it comes into your debit or into your savings, put aside, okay, this is how much money I'm going to save.
Which you would be able to see once you know how much you need to spend each month and how much is left on an average.
Right. That's why we talked about tracking how much your fixed expenses are. Because after you get your expenses, you're able to see how much you can put away. If people forget to the thing is, people forget to put away for savings. I'll wait till the end of the month. Usually they'll use up all of that money and then they have nothing to put away in savings. Put away for stuff for savings first, and then whatever you have left, live off of that.
Yeah. And just again, how relevant this is for us, because we've been kind of out of doing the full-on tracking all expenses, putting it into like Excel spreadsheet and all of that, due to some life circumstances that were just not keeping us on track for the past few months.
But we did have a phone notepad.
Yeah.
So we still were tracking.
That phone notepad is more like generally like how much did we save this month, all of that. But once we did this full-on tedious write out every expense, have the Excel spreadsheet, put it all together and tell you how much you have left, how much you could save, we realized that we could save so much more, but we just were so out of it for a few months that we didn't know how much actually is coming in and how much can be saved and all of that. So again, this is so cool to see, like as a literal example from our day-to-day life of how we could have been saving for the past few months more than we were, but it was kind of like we were saving what we thought we were able to save, and then the rest was just hanging around until it got used probably.
Real talk, I had a pay raise and we were making actually more money than we've made before. But we got so, like you were saying, my dear, we got so comfortable at saving at a certain low threshold, which we thought was a normal threshold because that's what we've been doing, that as we audited our finances this week, we noticed that because we've had a pay raise and because we're now in a better bracket, we could have been saving 2 times, maybe 3 times even more than what we were saving.
Yeah.
So it's always good to audit your finances.
Yeah. Okay.
And the last one is moving to another job that makes more money or create a side hustle to make more money. There's a point where you cut and slash to the point of, oh, now I'm just eating ramen noodles. No, you should take your health, like for us, our 5 matrices, our decision-making matrix, God, family, community, health and fitness, and continual growth. You should not sacrifice finances for the sake of your health. Or no, you shouldn't sacrifice your health for the sake of finances. The other way around. But if you need to eat good food and you're still not making enough money, make another job. That's when you've cut off all the bad things. Now you need to put in more good things. Okay, have more income streams. And what does that look like? Does that mean for you to start another business? No, probably not. Maybe you need to start doing a second job. You know, I remember I was in Virginia and I went to $50 into my bank account with plus college debt. What did I do? I started cleaning out horse stalls. I started working a little bit for this ranch under the table, like with cash.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, it was more like freelance work more than anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
No, I'm just
salaried.
saying that's not prescriptive. That's descriptive.
That's descriptive. Yeah, hindsight looking back. But move to a place where you can create more income. And if you can't, well then upskill. Find good skills. Learn new skills. YouTube University, Udemy. There's, you name it. There's a lot of certifications out there that's going to make you a lot more money if you just learn.
Yeah, that's helpful to hear, I think, for people, especially I have a friend and her fiance, like he's not, if I were to compare 2 different characters, it's like you are like, oh, let me just go and do it. But like you may be a person just like my friend's fiance who is more, slower to like, oh, I don't think I'm qualified to do anything else. I don't think I can. That, you gotta put yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes because there's probably so many more things that we're able to do, especially being young and, so many opportunities, like there's nothing to lose. I think they say that like in your 20s is when you are just trying things and figuring it out. So, you might be like someone who's struggling in actually trying new things, but if that's gonna better your financial state, is that's gonna better your life, maybe your mental health as well with that. That's not something that is that bad to try out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so those were those tips if I were 19.
Yeah, so that was our section for just tips for, I think this is more just like singles, anyone. But we wanted to talk a little section about just marriages and young marriages. That's how we started. What was it? You were 24 or 23 when we got married?
When we got married.
Yeah.
23.
And then I was 20.
20. Yeah.
So again, starting young marriages. We have a few topics to touch on, and the first is combined or separate bank accounts.
Combined. Next. So
how would you explain that?
Okay, so currently right now we have multiple different bank accounts.
Yeah.
Right. And that because of your like just immigrant status for a bit, documents and such, she wasn't able to be added to my US bank accounts. So we tried making it as combined as much
Yeah.
as we possibly can. I gave her access to my my username and password details, so she's able to track. She was able to add some of the cards onto her Apple Pay, so she's able to pay as
Yeah.
well.
So just the things that are, logistically would make it easy for both of you to be using
Right.
the same accounts. I mean, of course, so much easier if you're able
Yeah.
to add the person to the bank account and
Yes.
have two cards for the same bank account. Like we were able to do that later, but in the beginning, it was those things, just being open about finances and just being on the same page. And I hear it a lot again. Free plugins for Dave Ramsey, but from his show that when you work together for certain financial goals, it works so much better because we definitely were not like fully on the same financial page. Like, someone is going to be a spender, someone's going to be a saver, and then you have to find like the middle ground for both of you to work in. But I think that when you are both trying to target certain goals, you're both sacrificing in order to save money that month. And not only one person is not getting their Starbucks drinks on drive-thrus, but both people are putting certain things that that they find valuable or
Right.
So
in the end, it says it in the Bible. A man should leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife and become one flesh. If the scripture says it because you are one flesh, your bank account should reflect that as well.
Yeah.
Because you are not two separate individuals anymore.
Yeah.
She's your other half. He's your other half. So decisions need to be made in unison, because that's one of the biggest things that in America that's making people divorced. Not only is it because sin's the biggest one, but infidelity, communication issues, and finances.
Yeah.
Those are the top three.
And especially since we are talking about young marriages, at this age, usually that's the time where young marriages, people would get married. So it's not like you're 7 years into your marriage and, you realize financial issues. There's, of course, can be a different topic to navigate, but I think...
That's when you call Dave.
But I think whenever you are just starting your family, you're just getting married, maybe you're engaged now, I think, a lot of reasoning why people are shocked by combined bank accounts is usually mistrust, or people like, well, I don't trust him with my money, I don't trust her with my money, I have like this much savings, and then my other half doesn't. And it's like, well, I really hope that if you are getting married that you actually trust the person, because that's kind of, it was so second nature for us, I think, because we already both had that combined bank accounts in mind before we were, I think even before we met each other. So that wasn't something that we were surprised at, but I would imagine that if you just hear it for the first time, you might have those fears of like, how would I trust this person? And I would just say that you should really think about whether you're marrying the right person if you don't really trust them.
Right.
If you don't trust to, share your money with them. Like, again, you're one family. You're going to be one family.
Right.
Okay, so next one household income in a modern economy. How does that function? Because our family is a one household income.
Right.
And for a while it probably will be, especially adding a baby and, of course, taking care of the baby by me at home, and then Lord willing, being able to homeschool. That's our plan. So I don't have a plan of coming back into the workforce anytime soon. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, quick story. We both came from families where both parents worked. My parents are both nurses, and my dad's also a high-ranking official in the military. So there's a lot of fast-paced both working at different hours or different shifts at sometimes. And your parents were, mechanic and dental. So it's working at different shifts again.
Yeah.
So where did we get this idea of one income? Well, we just got blessed by, in the church, we had a mentor. He's a dentist, and his wife
Brought up kids
six
at home.
amazing kids who are almost all of them are adults now. And it went very well, So it is possible, especially in this economy when things are getting a lot more expensive. I think it's possible. If you get to a point where you tell yourself it's not possible, then of course it won't be possible. But it is possible. Now you just have to budget it properly. You need to hustle more. He who does not provide for his own family is worse than an unbeliever. It says that in 1 Timothy chapter 4. So whether you need to pivot your career or get a business or budget or have better financial goals, you need to do it. And do it with joy too, because mankind was made to work. Before the fall, before sin, we were made to work. So men, work for your families, provide for them.
Yeah, and of course it would be easier, again, for us. It was easier because we kind of started it off. I worked a bit, but it was never like a huge part of our income. So we kind of started off on one income. And, again, you always, whenever you have a certain income, you get used to, okay, this is how much I'm able to spend. This is where I'm able to live. This is, what I'm able to buy and afford for myself. Yeah. So I think for us, it was a little easier in a way that that's how we started. But, I would understand that if you're already in the two incomes and, combined, you're making like way bigger pay and you're living way higher. Of course, there are some sacrifices that might need to be made, but again, there's a lot of details you can go into and a lot of the situations you can discuss here, but this is more just for a general statement of like, it is possible to have one income in this economy. Again, it's not like you see only millionaires, have like one income. You actually see a lot of like regular middle class families, especially again in the church, live on one income. I think it's more about what you, again, of course, we're talking about like, let's say an average income. I'm not talking like super low income. That's when you have to think through, okay, what do we need to work on here in terms of like getting higher income. But if you have like an average income, which I think ours fits into like, I heard in like some regular states, not like California, is like average, like middle class family income, that I don't really see it like being poor in any way, but I would understand that maybe if that is like half of your income, that will be way different for you. So but it's definitely possible. See so many people do it. You see how much as well, you would have to spend on like daycare for kids and all of that. Again, things you can hear online nowadays all the time, that like daycare prices can sometimes amount to the income that one person can bring in the family.
Right.
So okay. And lastly, how do we build family finance goals? So again, if you have combined accounts, if your finances are combined, your goals also, Lord willing, are combined, because again, if you have your bank accounts and all of that combined, you would have to be on the same page financially in reaching together goals and all of that. So how would we plan our finances?
I think I said it a little bit earlier. We would get together the beginning of the year. We would sit in a nice coffee shop. Whether it's usually far away or nearby. I think we did it close by here, actually, this year. But we would sit, have a coffee, have a brioche, and
it's a little dessert.
It's like a little dessert. It's like a croissant. But we would pull out a notebook and then just talk about finances. What are our goals for how much we want to save or make this year.
Yeah. So that's like the big goals.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the big goals. And then you break that up to every quarter, every month. I do believe that I need to do better with, okay, let's have a quarterly review of our goals. Are we meeting it?
And we realized that recently again, as we gave that example, that like we do, again, this is something we're still working on, of course.
Yes.
We're not coming here as experts, but yeah.
Life just got lifey.
Yeah, you just get those seasons that just seem to like fly by and you're like, you know what, like I have enough to put food on the table, I have enough to save something, I have enough to like pay all the bills. Yeah. And you just kind of like think that that's fine, but then you realize that like, oh wait, I've been like doing it wrong for a little while.
Right. We were just in surviving mode rather than like trying to thrive mode. Yeah. But break it up in each quarter, each month. Constantly review it, because what doesn't get tracked gets missed. Yeah. Next is writing down big expenses throughout the year. Things like big trips, school, furniture. I think for us it was baby stuff was a huge one. Yeah. And then what's coming down the pipeline for us is moving expenses as well. So being able to have a forecast of, okay, here and are the big things that we need to spend on this month and this month and this month, so that we're not shocked by it or we're not surprised by it.
You budget for it.
We budget for it, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be either like necessities or, you know, even like if you want to plan a trip together, like again, I think one thing that is important to realize about finance as you're especially talking about it with your spouse is like, where did you come from? Because usually your parents, like your household that you grew up in is going to affect how you view finances in terms of like, you know, what do you prioritize? You know, like for my family, like my parents prioritized like going on one trip a year, like somewhere farther away rather than like doing renovations. So, you know, I am not prone to like go crazy on the renovations or something like that. Like for me, that seems like, okay, I have to prepare for this expense if we need to invest into it, you know? So if you said like, honey, we need to replace the floors, like, and that's going to cost us this much, like, you know, you need to plan for that and prepare. Exactly, But I think it's really helpful to find out where you are, because, you know, you may be like your parents, you may have like taken some of those habits, or you may be like very different from them, but it's really good to evaluate.
I totally agree. I think there was a point in time in which my dad was a huge saver. And when I started being by myself, I became a huge spender. And I had like a good threshold of like, okay, I'm comfortable here. So I'll spend until I'm comfortable to a specific number. But like as you were, your parents lived well, but but since you didn't had a job at the time, you were a super
I became a super saver.
You were a super saver. Your parents were not super savers, but you were a super saver.
I think they were pretty good about it, but there was never like a tension in the home of like we're saving. It was more like a natural response. And again, we had to navigate, okay, you know, are we going to be focusing on like, okay, if we do not save this much a month, we're gonna like go crazy and like the last week of the month, like, I don't know, eat rice and beans, as they say. But, you know, we had to talk through those things and be like, okay, you know, well, for us, it works right now in the season that, you know, if we don't save exactly this much this month, it's okay. We'll work on it next month. So there's a lot to work through. And I feel like it's really fun to do that with your spouse, actually. Again, now that we're talking about marriage, because it does bring you closer. Like this week, our conversations, I think, were so fun. Like we were just sitting there and like, where is this coming from? Like, where's this bill? Like, wait, why are we spending so much over here? Or I think it's really fun and connecting because again, we're not taking this as like some hurdle on our way. We're taking this as like a fun goal together of like, we know where we're going, we know what our goals are aligned, you know, and we're just trying to figure it out together, like as if, like trying to overcome some challenge. But when you're doing it together, it ends up being fun, Even finance is going to be fun when you're doing it together.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was such a huge epiphany to me, and how like we went through the whole, okay, this is how much we're spending, and then at the end we're like, whoa, we had the ability to save more.
Yeah.
To an extent, we were thinking, or at least I was thinking, well, look at all that money missed. But also in my head, I'm like, look at the potential of how much we can save now that we know. So it's like being able to know that, one, it connects both of us, and also helps us prepare for things down the line. And also, as Dave says, be generous. Helps us be generous as much as we possibly can. Tithe to the church, donate to a fundraiser that you want to, or a charity that you want to give towards.
Give gifts to your family.
Give gifts to your family. Give gifts to your friends.
Yeah.
Because community is important. So yeah.
Or even put in money sometimes. Like for us, I think we're not big on like going out. Like we do go out to eat and such, but it's not like the place that we run to at the end of each day. Like I would rather stay at home, honestly, on most days.
And watch a movie.
Yeah. So it's not like something, but sometimes we're like, you know what? We're going to spend money. We're going to a restaurant we don't like, but it's going to be for community time. Right. So that would also be considered like that extra expense, but it's kind of pouring into those relationships. Yeah. And I think, again, just to wrap this up, I think, again, if you work through these different goals and trying to figure out your finances early on in your young adult life, I think that it's helpful as you go through it, and Lord willing, you do get to a place where you feel comfortable, you feel like, okay, I'm not in a crunch, which sometimes if you start this late, you can get into that place where like, okay, now I have so much debt, and now I have all of these hardships that, of course, I don't see finances being fun at that stage, but, we're trying to share this information that hopefully, you're going to be able to take something from it and rethink it early on, so that, even though you said like you had mistakes that you had to work on and fix, but again, just because it was only like a year or two of mistakes, it was so much easier to fix than 10 years of habitual bad financial decisions. Yeah. And finances can become fun in your marriage too, if you work on it together.
Yeah. Well, I want to wrap this up before closing out. Everything with biblical notes, everything tying it back to the Bible, because remember that your finances are God's finances. Steward them well, like how you would steward your time. Stewardship of God's resources is the most important thing that we should do. We can't waste it. So that's our episode on finances, especially for those who are in their 20s or younger. So hopefully this was of help to you guys. It was a fun episode for the both of us, because especially it was something that we were talking about this week. And catch us in the next episode. So thank you again for watching. Ciao for now.
Bye.